Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Edward K. Y. Chen Distinguished Lecture 2023. I am Hayden, a Year 2 student in the BBA IBGM program and the MC of today's event. We are delighted to have Ms. Joey Watt, an HKU alumna and Fortune 500 CEO, to share with us her valuable insights. As a business school student, it is such an honor to be able to learn from a distinguished alumna and outstanding business leader firsthand. Before the lecture commences, may we first invite Professor Hong Bin Chai, Dean of HKU Business School, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Professor Chai, please.
Professor Edward Chen, Mrs. Joy Watt, distinguished guests, students, alumni, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the Edward Chen Distinguished Lecture Series 2023. Thanks to the great work by the committee and other colleagues, the lecture series has become one of the annual highlights of Hong Kong U Business School and for Hong Kong U, as a especially distinguished speaker is invited to share their experiences and insights to inspire the next generation. As such, the lecture series is a way to pay respect to the forever young Professor Edward Chen, who spent his lifetime nurturing and developing generations of leaders for Hong Kong, China, and the world. So we are here at the beginning of the year of the rabbit. For exactly 3 years, the COVID pandemic has seriously affected the whole world. It changed so many things and left so many unforgettable memories. Now, finally, we can put behind the restrictions of the pandemic and look into the future again to search for new opportunities and new hope. So at a special time like this, we are extremely honored to have Mrs. Joy Watt, CEO of Yum China, to speak with us on this memorable occasion. As a Fortune 500 CEO who manages over 400,000 staff members nationwide, Joy has incredible leadership experiences and impressive achievements, which Professor Fred Ma will introduce later. I just want to share that at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was truly touched by a video interview of Joy, in which he demonstrated how an amazingly strong and passionate leader she was in the face of the unprecedented challenges. So we all become fans of Joy Watt since that time. To our great delight, Joy is also Hong Kong U alumni. So this is the second time we have a graduate of Hong Kong U Business School to be this lecture's speaker. Now guess what's the first time? Now, the first time was back in 2007 when Professor Edward Chen giving an inaugural lecture. So it's really exciting to see generations of alumni who have made significant achievements gather together to contribute ideas and efforts to make positive impacts to the society. So it makes us extremely proud to see our alumni like Joy making real differences in the world, as our core mission is to nurture and develop future leaders. Now, in order to accomplish this mission, in the last few years, we have overcome the challenges and difficulties caused by the pandemic and other factors, and raised Hong Kong U Business School to new heights by strengthening its faculty, enhancing research capacity, establishing international network presences in Tel Aviv, Ho Chi Minh City, Shenzhen, and Beijing, and building a new campus on Portview Road. So even though the pandemic is perhaps fading away, obviously there will be new challenges and new uncertainties down the road for everybody and for every organization. So we all need to learn how to navigate in difficult times and make steady progress towards our goals. So I'm sure we can learn quite a bit from Joy's lecture today. Joy, thank you so much for coming to this lecture, and thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chai. Please be seated. May we now invite Professor Frederick C. Hang Ma, Honorary Professor of HKU Business School, to introduce our speaker today. Professor Ma, please.
Professor Chen, Dean Chai, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Our speaker today is a good Hong Kong story. She comes from a humble family background, was admitted to Hong Kong University in 1991, and graduated with the first-class honors in 1994. She was also taught by Professor Chen. She also holds an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management. She spent 7 years in management consulting, including with McKinsey Company in Hong Kong, and worked at A.S. Watson of Hutchison Group in UK from 2004. She joined Yum China in 2014 and is currently the CEO of Yum China, a listed company on the New York Stock Exchange and Hong Kong Stock Exchange, and a Fortune 500 company. There are over 400,000 people working for her now. By the way, to put in perspective, the entire hospitality industry in Hong Kong employs 350,000 people. Based on my research, she was paid $16 million in 2021. Oh, sorry, it's in US dollar, not Hong Kong dollar. She was included in Forbes' World's Most Powerful Women list from 2020 to 2022, and Fortune's top 50 most powerful women in international business from 2018 to 2021. She is truly inspirational to our young people. And I'm quite sure that our young people would like to be as successful as she is. Let us listen and learn from her story and experiences. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished Hong Kong U alumni, Ms. Joey Watt, to the stage.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very, very honored to be here. I must say I'm also filled with emotion. Professor Chen and Dean Chai, distinguished professors, friends and family, and many 師兄師姐師弟師妹. For Hong Kong graduate to be able to come back to Hong Kong U and have a chance to exchange some thoughts in Luk Yau Tong is so amazing. It's just beyond speech. And I'm truly filled with emotion, and I'm very, very grateful. But for the coming 30, 40 minutes, I'm going to share some of my personal story and learning. But I have very low expectation of what this presentation can do, because this is prepared as teaser, hopefully for later on, more stimulating panel session and Q&A, because I love the Q&A session. It's much harder to talk standing here, not my training. That's Professor Chen's specialty, expertise there. And I'm also very looking forward to his concluding remark, which is always wise. So very, very honored. But if I can have one expectation for the coming 30-some minutes is just have one message, hopefully will come through, is this. Good time builds confidence, bad time builds character. Long story short, 2020, when COVID happened, Yum China, my company, my team, they came up with the contactless delivery very quickly. Still how to serve the customer with this innovation, and CNN came to interview me. That was the beginning of 2020, and my conclusion of the interview is this. Good time builds confidence, bad time builds character. And I also say, I was expecting 2020, we are going to build a lot of character. But I did not know that we're going to also build a lot of character for the year after and the year after. So I'm very pleased, finally, we are sort of, past that milestone, and we are here and be able to share some thoughts. So I would like to say this will be the most important message from myself that I prepare. If you forget about everything we're going to say later on, it's okay with me. And thank you for your time and precious time that you have allocated to be here today. So, introduce myself. I love Hong Kong. I'm a Hong Kong girl at heart. I've been to many, many places, live in quite a few cities, but I still love Hong Kong. I'm incredibly grateful. I came to Hong Kong when I was a child, 9 years old. My sister's right there. She was 12, I was 9, and we started to work. So funny enough, later on, when I became the CEO of Fortune 500, the board will ask, well, they typically ask the question, have you done anything illegal? I thought about it. Yes, I did. I was an illegal child labor for many years. 嗰陣時15歲先夠稱㗎嘛。15 years old was the legal age. So indeed, I did something illegal, but I also consult with my lawyer. I was innocent because only the employers were guilty. Children were not. Okay, very important, right? We have an expert here. But that's my humble background, and I'm suitably proud of that. And then I went to school in Hong Kong, very grateful because Hong Kong has compulsory education. At that time, not all the children came to Hong Kong, the parents would make the decision that they continue education. But because of compulsory education, every kid will go to school, and I'm one of the person who benefit from it. And I'm also very grateful to the the hospital system in Hong Kong, because my mom always have a lot of medical challenges. And because of the Hong Kong system, my mother, my family can have dignity in the process. Nothing is perfect. It's very hard to run big medical system, but I think for poor people, dignity is so important. I always sometimes told my team, rich people have dignity and asset, poor people only has dignity. Therefore, dignity is so important, and I'm forever grateful to Hong Kong. And come to high school, I also learned something important. We have the founder and the person who inspired an organization called Hong Kong Outstanding Student Association. And I was very fortunate that I was selected as one of them, 1989, a long time ago. But my learning here was, at that time, just to try my best, because I really did not expect anything. I thought I'm going to be powerful. I thought I'm just, just participate. But the lesson I learned in the process is, what is failure? Failure is when you don't try. If we try something, the process itself, whether the result is success or failure, is a learning process. It's good enough for ourselves. But if we don't give ourselves a chance to try, that is a failure. Very important lesson I learned, and I hold it dear to my heart for the rest of my life. And then Hong Kong U, very, very grateful. What an amazing education what an amazing opportunity. You know, when I applied to Kellogg a few years after, one of the questions, I wrote the essay about what is my most proud achievement. I wrote Hong Kong University education. I mean, if you're the one who read the essay, you think this is pretty silly. Everyone applied to Kellogg Northwestern will have a degree. But no, for me, it's very, very different because after university, after getting a degree from Hong Kong U, the resources, the access to resources is completely different compared to what I used to have. So it's just suddenly you get to the next stage and just like, oh my goodness, I can have all these resources. And I was truly proud, and I feel that I have come a long way to come through the door. And guess what's the other essay question is, what's your favorite city? Hong Kong. So proud of Hong Kong, so filled with energy, start from nothing, but who cares? As long as you have aspiration, hope, people, hard work, we can always achieve something back to the old time and today. So I truly love this city and love everything. I know nothing is perfect, but it's okay. 金窝银窝不如我的狗窝嘛. It's okay. Be proud of what we have, and then we work together to make us and the whole city and people who love us proud too. And then I did some, the typical thing, consulting, and then Watson's in China, and that's my background. I only have about 15 slides, so hopefully won't overrun. But what I have to also share is when I applied to MBA, it took me 2 years to get in. The first year I applied for few schools, the result is 全軍覆沒. I failed every single one of them. But I also learned something important. I remember I wrote it down. I learned to be sympathetic to those who fail. But it's okay. I try, I fail, and I learn how to write essay. How to write essay that is really, really deep, to have this deep thinking, have the reflection, and I try again next year, and I got in. It's okay to fail. I was in Hong Kong doing consulting, and then I moved to UK. And I was in strategy, and I did strategy for 3 years, and then 3 years after, I got a call from my boss, asked me to turn around a company called Savers. Well, he at the beginning said, oh, let me know whether you think there's a hope. Because the company at that time lost 36 million pounds, I still remember. At that time, the exchange rate is 1 to 16. It's a lot of money. And, I'm like, well, okay, why did you call me? It's a big boss. I'll tell you the name later on. He's a big boss. He's like, well, I heard from my colleague that you're a very honest person. You're straightforward, you're honest. I'm like, oh, that's a good reputation to have. That also means that I can be too blunt sometimes, right? So I looked at it and I thought, yeah, I think this company have hope. This company at that time only have less than 300 stores, but only less than 10 stores were profitable. I think the company has hope. Why? Because I did a survey. I did a survey as a store manager. What do you think? What's the problem? All I got back is F. I looked at it. I mean, all the numbers, all the P&L balance sheet, you cannot look at it when a company loses that much money. And I look at it, I'm like, this is amazing. There's hope. My boss like, why? I'm like, people are still angry. The worst response you can get from people is, I don't care. I gave up. And that's the worst. But if people are still angry, I think we still have hope. So we start to turn around, and about 2 years, I start to turn around. And then I also was asked to take on Superdrug, which at that time is about 1,200 stores. And then later on, we moved some stores from Superdrug to Savers. It was losing money at that time. But this is the number 2 retailer in health and beauty retailer in UK. So I took the challenge, but only being asked, I think, 2 to 3 times. I think here what I want to share is, why did I take on this challenge? there were a few thousand people working for Savers at that time, and I thought, if we don't try to turn it around, these few thousand people, they are going to lose their job. And if I give it a go, they might still lose their job, but I think we owe ourselves a chance. And then many years after, I asked my boss, why did you even believe in me? I mean, it seems like so hopeless. He's like, well, because no one else wants to do the job, they don't believe it, you're the only one. It's a true story. And why did I at that time give it a go? People at that time thought that this is a poison for the career, for anyone's career, because it really has no hope. You don't want this thing to be on your resume. But it's not in my thinking. And only after many years, I realized how important it is when we work on something that is right thing to do, it's right thing to do. It's not because if you give you fame, success, or money. Actually, if people care too much about the success, the money, actually, all these things you want become a constraint and limit you in terms of creativity, doing the right thing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a very big learning. Just do something just because you're passionate about it. It's the right thing to do. And then whatever the outcome, just accept, and it's okay. Because life is a journey. We're all going to die, everyone here, including myself, and it's okay. Very, very big lesson learned, and I have to tell you who at that time gave me a call and, give me a chance, I think, promote me a few levels maybe to take this challenge. His name is Ken Falk. Still my mentor and good friends right now, and I'm forever grateful. So grateful to someone who gave me the opportunity because there are a lot of smart people, but very few mentor and coach who is willing to share their wisdom with the young people. If you find one in your life, be very grateful. You're very, very lucky already. And I'm certainly so lucky to benefit from so many professors in ZZ. They are teaching their guidance. And then I stayed in UK for 10 years and then moved on to Yum China. That was 2014. I want to take the challenge because at that time, the digital journey in China was so vibrant, and the pace, you can just feel this is going to be different. And also it's perfect time because my son was only 4 years old and I really, really want my son to learn Chinese. So, then I moved back. And then 2016, the company became independently listed in New York Stock Exchange. It's a spin-off. It's a tax-free spin-off. It's a US company, tax-free spin-off. And we got listed in New York Stock Exchange. And then 2020, Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And then last year, dual primary. And right now, I think we are the largest restaurant company in China. We have KFC, Pizza Hut, Lavazza, Huan Ji Huan, Xiaofeiyang, and Taco Bell as well. I think in terms of equity business, because a lot of the restaurant companies are franchise business, in terms of equity business, because actually we run these restaurants ourselves, we are probably one of the largest in the world, if not the largest. However, I mean, for Mr. So, who I met in Davos, and Mr. Lee, who I met in Davos, whenever I introduce myself and people say, what do you do? I sell fried chicken and pizza. That's it. That's it. Because I truly only a small Chinese woman selling fried chicken and pizza. And the learning I have here is just 唔好當自己有咩咁巴閉啦，係嘛？Whoever we are, whatever we do, don't think that we are such a big deal. We are not. Each one of us is equal in some way. We only have so much time, and we will try our best to serve our community. Whatever the result is what the society gives to us. Many friends and family who help us. My sister helped take care of my mother and family. So being humble, being grateful is truly quite important for anyone's career. And my CPO is here who run 400,000 people for me. We have some really bright young people joining the company to do strategy, finance, and have a PhD, Yale PhD, and we have many PhD. Because we also have a few thousand engineers doing a lot of the coding and the computer stuff behind the scene. Whenever I met these young people, I only have one advice for them, particularly those with a lot of education, extremely bright. Be humble. Be humble, you'll be able to survive in this company. You might be amazing in school, but boy, many people in our company who don't have that much education, but they have a PhD degree from University of Society. We have a lot to learn from them. And being humble is the way, because nobody wants to help people who are not grateful. Whoever who's not grateful, you have destroyed half of your career already. If you choose to be humble for your entire life, be grateful, you have half your career right there already. That is more important than many, many, many things. And that's what I've learned in the last many years. So let's talk about turnaround. Turnaround is my theme, it's my career. I've spent many, many years on it, and I do want to share what I've learned from turnaround. First learning, people first. Then strategy, then target. What I want to say, consulting firm or even in university, when we teach strategy, we don't emphasize enough on how important people is to everything. When we have the right people, you will have the strategy because your people will help you come up with the strategy. If you don't have the right people, your strategy means nothing. We don't emphasize enough, even in consulting firm, about the importance of the people, the importance of building a team. And building a team is not only a science, it's an art. How to get people to work with you, follow you. So people first. And I will start with people and I will end my presentation with people. Then in terms of strategy, when we have over 400,000 people, the strategy needs to be very clear. To be honest, most of the time your frontline employees don't really care about your strategy. Your 100-page, 20-page strategic presentation, who will remember? But if we want to work with people, get everybody to support, we have to find a way to make it really, really clear. And in the last 8 years, whenever we turn around a brand or whatever, there are only 8 words in Chinese and English about the strategy. 好吃好玩有里有面. Good food, good fun, internal beauty, external beauty. That's it. That's the strategy. So what are the 4 things? 1, good food. We sell food, chicken, pizza, many other things. Food has to be good. I'm from Hong Kong. Food has to be good. We know what good food is. We have good taste. So have to upgrade the food. And then good fun is the marketing, the experience. Because these days, the product, what is product? Product is not only the product is experience too. So we have to make the experience part of the product. And then internal beauty, external beauty. Internal beauty is what? Is the process. It's all the things that 内功, that your competitor would love to have, but they cannot see and they cannot copy. And that is your true strategic moat that differentiates one company from the other. And the 内功, the internal beauty, takes a long time to build. It can take a few decades or even longer to build. Truly important. I'll talk about it later on a bit more. 有面 external beauty, 颜值就是实力。靚仔就係實力嚟㗎。Seriously. So when it comes to our business, what's external beauty? That's our stores. So you will see a lot of beautiful stores and also our staff. So we invest a lot of money into the stores. So the airport need to be very impressive. 颜值就是实力啊。But also our staff, we put a lot of attention to staff uniform. The last designer for our staff uniform is Anna Su. The current designer of the staff, KFC staff uniform in China is Karl Lagerfeld. For those who don't know, at least you know Chanel. That's the designer of Chanel. More than that, when Karl Lagerfeld designed our uniform, he passed away sadly, but it made our style uniform truly limited edition. 限量版 好掂嘅。But you know, I work in restaurant. I work in restaurant when I was 15. 夠稱啊嘛，合法啊嘛。When I was at 15 years old, I work in restaurant. And I understand for young people, the look is important. The uniform is important. That make you feel good, make you have confidence. That is important. The beauty is not only the lens, it's the confidence. The confident man and woman are the most beautiful one. Be proud of what we are doing, and then give them a confidence. And I love to see my staff becoming more and more 靚仔靚女. They look so good when they are confident. 好吃好玩有理有面, but at the same time, because it's a people business, we have slightly different priority when we come to make decision. Employee number 1, customer number 2, and then shareholder number 3. I don't know what does that mean to the marketing professor, but for consumer product business, if we can make our employees happy, they serve the customer, and then the shareholder will be happy. But we look after all of them, and that's our job. And right now, the company, we have about $13,000 that was prepared, a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe. And then in 1,800 cities in China, digital members, these are membership over 400 million, actually about 430 million members. We know them in China. And then employee, and then what we are really proud of is the last 3 years, 12 quarter, we deliver profit for our shareholder. And that's truly important because it's really, really hard to stay profitable during, let's say, last quarter because it was so bad. But we did it, our entire company, we did it together because it's very important to give that 安全感, 安全感, the sense of security, the trust, the confidence to everybody, from shareholder to employee to supplier. And that 安全感, 安全感 is so important. This is about economics, right? But in front of Professor Chen, I feel so scared to talk about economics. This is like, this is like no win, are you kidding me? So I have chosen a very small topic, chicken economics. Chickenomics. At least I know something about it and I can talk about it because I learned the chicken economic from selling fried chicken. And it's representative because it has the sample size from 1,800 cities in China. So let's use the chicken to talk about the few things I think is very important about the Chinese economy. First of all, if a company say, oh, what is your China strategy? I'm like, really? That means you really don't know about China. Because China's strategy is not enough. You need to have the eastern part of China strategy or a western China strategy or northern part of China strategy. They are very, very different. The few things I want to highlight, see the whose line from 黑龙江黑河到云南腾冲 draw a line is called whose line. 黑龍江黑河到雲南嘅騰衝 90% of population and GDP is below that line. Okay? Hopefully by understanding the China map, whatever we are doing or you are doing in the future, have a better idea about how to look at this country and how to strategize, because they're very different. So I divided into different groups because that's my business, and fierce competition is Fujian, Guangdong, and Tianjin, the area. Very, very competitive for me at least. And then the bread basket is the Zhejiang, Jiangsu, that's Shanghai, Suxihan, Suzhou, Hangzhou, Wuxi, Nanjing, these are the key area. And then you have the light green, big area, Hubei, Hunan, Sichuan, Chongqing, they're all there. And then you have the Daxibei, the northwest, very, very big. What does that mean here? Choose your market. The country is so big, it's very difficult to cover everywhere. Choose your focus, have to have a focus. Our focus is eastern part of China. Therefore, our headquarters is in Shanghai. Some people choose in Nanjing, perfectly fine, or Hangzhou, perfectly fine. But choose your market. Might be Huanan, whatever, but must have a market, focus market there, because they're very different to your business or to your whatever you're doing. Why I chose eastern part of China, Jiangsu and Shanghai. Guess, just have a wild guess, how many percentage of my business, both sales and profit, is from 2 provinces? Christine, professor, ask you to guess, how many percent? Put you on the spot. More than 50. Gosh, no wonder she's professor. 50%. 50. 半壁江山, half of the business is from that 2 provinces. Eastern part of China, amazing market. 藏富于民, 藏富于民嘅. Even go down to tier 5, tier 6 city, you will find families who sent their kids overseas 100 years ago. You will find 状元巷子, the little road that have few 状元 in the history. This is the area where they have been feeding China economy or the whole empire maybe for 1,000 years since Song Dynasty or even earlier. Amazing area in terms of people and resources and ability to adapt to changes. So very sophisticated market, very sophisticated, and still going strong. Even when the economy up and down, eastern part of China is okay. Very adaptable. Think about once I was in Italy, met this group of Wenzhou men. They speak fluent Italian, well-dressed, because little do we know, Italian, although they design the beautiful clothes, who make these Italian design clothes? Wenzhou people in Italy. So these are not only Chinese business people, these are international business people. Amazing area, so much for us to learn. From the south, Shenzhen, Dongguan, whatever, young people, they change they adapt very fast. Something changed, policy change, but they adapt so fast because they're so young. They will come back. Vibrant market. And then middle part of the country right now is growing very nicely. And I do want to mention that the most amazing market, which everyone in my industry is looking forward to see, is Changsha, Hunan. Why? Because it's very vibrant in terms of food. Why? Because the rent is low. The rent is low. The property price, for whatever reason, local government control it so well that 豪宅可以2000蚊一尺，唔係2萬，係2000蚊一尺。豪宅 because of the property cost is so low, it gives entrepreneur a lot of room to try new things, innovate. So I do hope, because not only Changsha, actually many governments in China, they have special support or special area for the entrepreneur to stay there for very low rent, allow them to come up with something amazing, particularly for the high tech. So even in Shanghai, if you're a high tech company, small company, you can get amazing rent from the government to start. I think that's something maybe we want to think about. Because the young people, the small company, they cannot afford such a crazy rent. The crazy rent will take the oxygen out of many small companies. And the middle part growing very nicely. And the north is very challenging because the economy is really not growing. However, what the north can offer are talent. Great people, great education, not enough work opportunities. So in our company, we have a lot of people from the north. They are loyal, amazing, smart people. They need the job opportunity. They are grateful for the opportunity. It's much harder to retain people from Shanghai than compared to people in the north. And then this part of the country, people there, 一方水土養一方人 is completely true. And our job being a leader is to make sure we have a bit of everything. All the good things from different part of China or in the world. Western part of China, they understand 咩叫跑馬圈地. You run a horse around, and then you make a circle, and that's your empire. Because that's how they run. But then they're good at sort of a 粗放管理, sort of, general management, not too detailed, not too fine. They're good at it, but they think big because they grow up in big area. Okay, what about people like us or Taiwan? Remember the China map? By the way, do you see this China map look like a chicken? Right? Chicken, and then with the 2 feet. One is Taiwan, one is Hainan. Don't forget about the Taiwan bit. So we have people from Taiwan and Hong Kong. Taiwan and Hong Kong people, because we're from island, it's a small place. What are we good at? 精細化管理, detail management. We are good at it, and we need it now. And Hong Kong people, of course I've come to Hong Kong people. Hong Kong people are professional, hardworking, and very, very flexible. And in terms of most hardworking people in our company, Hong Kong people. 2 people who I see working in my company from Hong Kong. So hardworking. We can do it. We are different, and we are very, very adaptable. And that's what Hong Kong can offer. We learn. So this is at least some little thoughts about economics for Professor Chen and for our, for our lecture. Okay. In the last 3 years, actually, my company opened about 40% of my company's store or footprint was from last 3 years' hard work. So many investors ask me, okay, the pandemic now is at different stage. How are you going to move from defensive to offensive? And I'm like, we never played defensive. We never have the mindset. So if we can have 30% of the business from the built from last three years, I think that was pretty aggressive. How do we do it? What are the learning here? The learning here is sometimes we like to believe that all these things happened the last 3 years from the last 3 years. It's just not true. The foundation was built way before 2019 because it took good things take a long time to build. Whatever we decide to do, we have to be patient, which is not a word that investors or people these days want to hear. But it's true. Whatever good thing, it takes time to build. We have to be slightly patient, not too slow, but patient. We know we are doing step by step because a lot of these competitive advantage and capability, they are a result of small little accumulation of the good things. And then suddenly come to the point, 2020, we are able to accelerate the store opening and then happen. But that opportunity might come or might not come, and it's okay. We need to have the patience to do that. And one of the things that I will have to mention here is cash. Because I think in many of the business education team, I think if I look back as a student or even as a consultant, there were a lot of focus on P&L, not enough focus on balance sheet, particularly cash. There's so much emphasis on leverage. I mean, Wall Street would just teach, well, we have some bankers here. There's so much talking about leverage, how to play smart. But what about how to play solid? How to make sure that we have enough cash and we utilize the cash well. And one way that I've learned to do is, first thing I did when I joined Yum China is to reduce the capex. Reduce the capex, not by just cutting it, that's too easy. Just really make sure quality is the same, payback is the same, but the input cost is much lower, and we're talking about reducing the capex per store by 30%. Sunk cost is even higher. Like sunk cost is another very important concept because we think whatever we invest, if these are the equipment you can move somewhere else, it's okay, very safe. You can always move it somewhere else. What we really need to focus on is the sunk cost. Once we reduce the sunk cost, the risk of failure becomes much lower. Then we can go bold. It all is connected. When we reduce the sunk cost, We can go fast, we can go very fast, and we can still afford to make the mistake. We need to build in the room for our team to make mistakes. And because the capex is lower, the depreciation is lower. 管數啲人就知啦。The depreciation is lower, then your burden of operation is lower. So your team can make slightly less sales to pay back the investment. Reduce the burden for the operating people. Operating people have very hard time to make the money. So whatever we have the ability to manage the balance sheet behind, we need to do whatever we need to do to make sure we reduce the burden for the people who run the business on day-to-day business, and that's our job. Cash is king. For Yum China, I'm very happy to say that we actually don't have debt, zero debt. Actually, we have quite a bit of cash. The reason is, sometimes cannot convince the shareholder. Then I come to my woman's power. Shareholder, the biggest problem is you're absolutely right, leverage, but I'm very insecure Chinese woman. I just like cash. Women, we like cash. It's okay. Hard to argue that women power. I don't use that often, but once in a while I do. Because it's hard for them to argue. They cannot argue. Then I come to how to grow really fast during the most difficult time behind the accelerated expansion. Fundamental, but also innovation. When things are tough, innovation. There's always a way to get it done. It's a religion, it's a belief. 如果冇方法嘅話，唔係因為冇方法，係因為仲未諗到，再諗下咧。If there's no solution, not because there's no solution, because we have not come up with a solution yet, it's a religion. Believe in it. And innovation, this is a different format. We have normal store, big store to build a brand, but we also have the mini store to do the sales. We also have drive-through, the K-Coffee, only sell coffee, only sell dessert. Future store to talk about the future store, and then different format for Pizza Hut. Different 场景, different store to serve different customer at different situation. 80% give and take, similar price, similar product, 20% customization. Why 80% the same? Because we need a scale. So you think big, but also think small. Think wide, but also think deep. And I'm very, very fortunate. I've learned a lot of these from my mentor, boss, But over time, when we exercise like muscle, we can do it. And whatever we are doing, I emphasized the previous page, but I still will emphasize, we have to do it in our own pace, actually. At the beginning, when we cannot do it, when we don't have the cash, don't have the people, don't have whatever to do it, then do it. Do it at your pace. And then later on, when you could, and run. And then it's a marathon. It's your own speed that counts. You listen, but you also listen to your heart too. And I also want to share something quite interesting, actually. What I say is 立於不敗之地, how not to lose. It's not how to win. There's a big difference. I think it took me many, many years. I mean, the gentleman who taught me not to lose instead of try to win is my previous boss who hired me to Yum China. It's a process. Because if we try too much to win, you get lost. You will try to focus on your competitor instead of doing what you should do. Again, go back to what I said earlier. A lot of the good things strategic mode is accumulation of many small things over a long time. So for a leader, we have responsibility to lead our team to get to that place called 不败之地, the place that we are not going to lose. You build resilience into the organization, into institution, and that's our job. Whether we win or not, 天说了算. Not we can say. We might or might not win, and it's okay. But our job is to lead the team bit by bit with pace. And I mean, I learned this from an amazing book called 孙子兵法, 孙子兵法. You think about this strategy book came out only 2,000 years before the Michael Porter's strategy book. And that book never taught people how to win. That book only taught us, this is part of Chinese philosophy, how not to lose. Even better, don't even fight, but still win. I think there's something very, very amazing about it, truly. Okay, now we come to other part. I mean, we talk about these different format, food, my favorite. This is my true passion. I love food. I have to tell you that other than working in restaurant business, when I was a teenager, I also won the cooking competition at that time. And then later on, when I, in between job, I even went to cooking school and learned to cook Western food. I love food, my true passion. So even as a QSR, quick service restaurant, we launch about 500 food a year in KFC or Pizza Hut. That's a lot. So every week you come to KFC or Pizza Hut in China, there's always something new. But actually our team came up with about 5,000 foods a year. Only 10% make it to meet the customer. The rest of 90% still are waiting. And if it's something so important, leader must lead from the front, not from the back. I eat those food, my team eat those food. Every month, that's one day, part of my job, to eat from 12 to 4 or 6. Eat. KFC for one day, pizza for one day for other team. How to stay slim, that's their business, none of my business. We love to eat and we stay skinny at the same time. So KFC, we sell Wagyu beef burger, very high end. And then we also have like Chuan. That's from Xibei. So we took a lot of inspiration from different parts of China. And then Pizza Hut sell gai xi mian, very Chinese noodle. And then durian pizza. We sold 100 million durian pizza last year, 40% of durian pizza, 40. Durian pizza is so good. Huh? So a lot of these crazy food, and Professor Chen, if you come to Shanghai, let me show you durian pizza. Oh boy, food is good, and passion is so good. So I hope whatever you're doing, make sure you find your passion. It's hard to find a passion. It took me many years to realize I'm passionate about retail and I'm passionate about the food business. But once I found passion, you really understand what is 如鱼得水. And to the point that if I interview people, I will ask them, so how many types of soy sauce? We usually know 三超, 卤超, right? But very few people know 头超, which is the fat batch, the top layer of that soy sauce batch. That's so good. So be passionate about what you are doing, and then the chance of doing well is there. Even if the outcome might not be what you want, at least you enjoy the process. Really, really important. Good food, good fun. Crazy Thursday. People in China know what is Crazy Thursday. Every Thursday, there's all kind of 我们叫风式文學瘋狂星期四文學 because look at the middle one 12月求姻緣去邊度呢？羚羊子、雲發子、甘露子瘋狂星期四，因為喺國語裏邊係押韻嘅，羚羊是、紅發是、甘露是、瘋狂星期四。So people came up with all sorts of crazy things, and right now it become UGC, user-generated content, and that's the most important thing. The user generate the marketing for you, then you are there because you don't pay them. Good marketing budget. Fun, the experience, and then also have like a weekend offer. We sell whole chicken for 29 yuan for the weekend. So all these about good product at good price, and that's really, really the minimum. At least for our business, consumer product business. We're not luxury business, but if we do consumer business, you better make sure the price is good. However, are these the real reason why we get it, why we can serve customers so well? well, on the surface, but the real reason actually is supply chain. Actually is the digital capability. Actually is the operation. Without those, it's very hard. Because if we don't have a supply chain to source the product at the right price, we can never support this kind of campaign. It just doesn't work. So I'm going to share some of the learning about supply chain. And my learning here is 绝处逢生, life finds a way. Because during the pandemic, during Shanghai lockdown, our packaging material could not move from the warehouse to the rest of the country. Like, I truly believe in innovation. Because when that happened, our team came up with a brilliant, genius idea. They decided to utilize sea freight to go to Tianjin and then Guangzhou, cover northern part of China, southern part of China, and the middle part of China, the railway. The railway did not have the problem of lockdown. And yet, right now, we realize that we can also use inner river going forward, and that's what we are working on. 成功慢慢行. The slower, the better. Now my packaging material does not even need to go to the warehouse. It goes straight to the sea freight, flows slowly. That's the moving warehouse, which we don't have to pay. And because the bulk volume is so big that I can print more and lower the cost even more. That's innovation. And I love this example. And I have to share to show that life finds its way. Believe in yourself, believe in your team. We'll find a solution. I have to mention about the 人口红利, 养豪红利. Right now, we are very worried that, in China, we're running out of 人口红利, the population demographic dividend. What about talent dividend? Talent dividend. One talent is more important than 10 people. In China, we still have a lot of talent dividend. Because of talent dividend, we can do a lot of the digital capability, innovation, etc. When I moved from London to Shanghai 8 years ago, and it's true, still true right now, it takes about 3,000 pounds to hire an engineer for a day in London. Whereas in China right now, it still only costs about 3,000 renminbi to do the same. It does not take a MIT graduate to understand the numbers really work when we invest in digital capability, in technology. It's okay. And that's the reason why for my business back to 2016, we only have about 6,000 stores. We have 400,000 people. Now we have 13,000 stores. We still only have 400,000 people. Technology, digitization. Not to mention the pet economy. People are not having that many kids, but they're having a lot of pets. Growing business. There's always a solution. There's always opportunity there. Think, that's our job. I come to the end of my presentation here, people first. So important. I just want to, we do charity, of course, and we send free food to the hospital during the pandemic. And our employees, we gave medical coverage to the store managers, not only to the store manager, to their wife, to their kids, but to their parents. We are one of the very few companies do that to the parents till 75 years old. The brilliancy here is now if they want to change their job, they need their parents' approval. Because other companies don't do that. If they change their job, the parents lose the medical insurance. And by the way, that medical insurance is not something money cannot buy because that's the deal that I strike with the chairman of the insurance company myself. It's not available outside. But think for the people. Okay, my time is coming up, and I have only two more pages to come back to people. I think at the end, if I have to just really summarize everything, is work on that sense of security. 安全感. It's more important than we ever realize. And I like the ChatGPT one answer is, what is the one thing that you can do to change the world? The answer is empathy. And I thought that's very clever. What is empathy when it's in practice? You think for other people. For a company, particularly for a leader, our job is to think from other people's point of view. 仁者無敵. What is 仁者? 仁者is someone who thinks for other people. Kindness conquers all, and the kindness is shown in a way that when we have the empathy for other people. So not only my employee, customer, supplier, shareholder, all the other partners, we think from them. The moment we become a leader, the one word we should not say all the time is I. Drop the I forever. In whatever situation, the credit goes to the team, the benefit goes to different stakeholders, forget about the I. Otherwise, you're probably a leader who has a bit more work to do. Last but not least, I would like to share my favorite movie that I truly think that changed my life in a very profound way. I never expected from a movie, but it did. For those who have watched this movie before, you will understand where I'm coming from. For those people who are so young, who have not seen this movie, I really strongly suggest you watch it. It really shows that whatever the reality, what's going on, how difficult, challenging situation is, what really matters is our own decision to stay optimistic or not. It's our choice. Has nothing to do with the reality. Stay positive. The pessimistic people could be right, but only the optimistic people succeed. So stay positive. There's hope. There's hope for Hong Kong. There's hope for China. There's hope for everyone. Last page, and I'm concluding here. I think next time Professor Chen needs to get a man here, and then the ending page is Hong Kong boys rock too. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Watt, for the insightful sharing. Please stay and be seated on stage. We'll now move on to the panel discussion session. May we first invite the moderator, Professor Christine Chen, Associate Dean, Outreach and Global Engagement of HKU Business School, to proceed to the stage. Joining the panel today are three outstanding students and alumni of HKU Business School. They are Mr. Ben So, Ms. Isabella Wan, and Mr. Sada Lam. Please take your seats on stage. I will now pass the floor to Professor Christine Chen. Professor Chen, please.
Okay. Joey, I also love food. So next time I go to Shanghai, so I can join your team, eat, and eat. Okay.
My pleasure.
Okay, so today, actually we invite, the young people as the panelists. So they are either our current students and also alumni. So Mr. Ben So graduated in 2019. And also, he's a co-founder of the Green Price. This should be the first enterprise in Asia to sell short-dated brand foods and also cosmetic at deep discount. And also with Isabella Wan, is our first-year student studying BBA Law and also LLB, and is also the chairperson of our BE Association. And also Mr. Sutherland is our current EMBA student and is a director of OVER Partnership. This is International Architects Office. All right, so Joey, actually Joey has shared with us her management philosophy and also how she deployed the strategies and also how she lead the company to remain profitable, especially in the past few years in China. And actually set a very, very good and I would say excellent example to show how CEO does matter in influencing firm performance. So now, actually, life has returned to pre-pandemic level. And also, in general, so large firms are back to, normal operation. And also small and medium-sized, companies, actually, they are picking up. And I would like to ask Joey, what would be your advice to those maybe young entrepreneurs and they would like to start and operate their businesses in China? Because Mr. Ben actually is also, the young entrepreneur. So Joey, please.
It's a profound question, and the immediate thought came up to my mind is be prepared to fail a few times. Particularly for entrepreneurs, those successful ones you have seen who's sitting in the front, they probably have failed a few times, but they did not tell you. because we have to go through the learning. And even for the successful entrepreneurs who are very big name in China, who I know them personally, they fail many times too. So the key thing is stick to your passion and work really hard and 平常心, right? That's the number one thing I say. Work towards your goal, but be prepared for failure and success. It's a process. And, be humble, and you'll find a lot of people who are very, very keen to help those people who is humble and who seek their guidance. Because it must take a very, very bad people to refuse the helping young people when they are seeking the guidance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Ben?
Okay, thank you, Joey. Actually, I fail a lot. And I have a question about, you mentioned the significance of fundamentals and how not to lose. And during the lockdown, you mentioned many innovation in the shipment. And I have a question about after come back to a good time, like back to normal, any change in mindset of strategies about fundamentals or how deal with that prevent this kind of different external issue in the future?
Well, in terms of my company, we changed the top line, the overall description from cautiously optimistic to optimistically cautious. I think again, during good time or during bad time, we still really focus on the fundamental. And being the leader, you need to have that gravity. And I would like to also bring up the point about the relative importance of a leader versus your company in terms of the attitude. What do I really mean? Sometimes when the company or your team is a bit pessimistic, a bit down, you provide the 50% balance to provide the hope. Even if you're tired, stick to yourself. Don't let people see it. Even if you're tired, even if you are sort of a bit down, but your job is to provide the guidance and hope for your team. That's your job. If you choose to be a leader, stick to it. And if your team is really think that they can conquer the world, your job is to say, be careful. Provide that 50% balance to remind them the world is quite challenging there. And it's your job. And you need to maintain the gravity during the good time and bad time, because there's no such thing. I think Su Dongpo is one of the most amazing poets in China, because think about his most amazing poem, 莫聽竹林打葉聲, right? It's raining, but what's the last sentence? 也無風雨也無晴. There's no rain, there's no sunshine. It's only your understanding of what's going on, and your understanding, 認知, right? 認知, your understanding what's going on is quite steady and calm, actually. And that's part of the training.
That's quite inspired me, because like during the COVID, we also struggle. We need to survive. So think about how not to lose. It's very significant.
Yes. Yes. And the beauty of the thinking how not to lose is it really takes your attention off the silly trap called winning. If you really try too hard to win, it's a trap itself, actually. Try not to think, because then your thinking is too influenced by what's going on by the competitor. You have to pay attention to the competitor, but the competitor don't decide your strategic options. You decide.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Joey, you mentioned that, being humble is actually one of, the success factors for the young people. And I'm sure Isabella will have some more, to add on.
I'm really inspired by how Joey's mentioned of how we should always be grateful and also humble in order to launch and also to develop our career. I have a question regarding what was the biggest challenge that you have encountered during your career, and what did you do to overcome it? Thank you.
I have many, many, many challenges. Oh, but if in the last 3 years, I think I would like to mention one critical moment. I would say is the defining moment. And I think no matter how many years after, I still will remember that moment. You know, when COVID happened, some competitors, some restaurant companies, they shut all their stores. They just close all their stores because you just don't know what's going on there, right? What happened if my staff got infected, blah, blah, blah. So there's some leading player who shut the store. And we make the very, very, very difficult decision to stay open, to keep trading whenever we could, if our staff protection is adequate. And I mean, forget about the last year, the COVID exploded. For the first 2 years, I think we have less than 100 staff got infected out of 400,000 people. So our protection is good. But that was a difficult decision. I'm usually quite decisive. But when it comes to that decision, it took me a few days to really think. Should we stay closed? Every store at that time, only 9,000 stores at that time shut, or should we stay open? But at the end, I make the very difficult decision, we'll stay open whenever we could, because I think, you know, for restaurant business, the most important thing is actually the sales. We need to make sure we have enough sales to continue to pay the staff. Think about, we have 400,000 people on my payroll, and my CFO at that time worked out the number very quickly. If we shut down our cash flow, I mean, we're talking about a few billion US dollar cash flow here. My few billion cash flow only lasts for 1 year. Payroll. That's how bad it could be. And we decided to stay open. I still remember I make the decision, and my CFO at that time said, you realize you make the decision and you can get fired by that, right? If the decision is wrong one, if there's a big scale of infection, you get fired. I understand. I do understand. I did understand, so I called my husband. Dear husband, you know, I made a really big decision, and if it's wrong, I might have to come home, become a housewife again, and which is a very scary idea for my husband. I mean, nobody wants a woman with my level of energy to be house husband. I mean, instead of like sharing my energy among 400,000 people, I only target my energy at him and my son. They will be miserable. I am sure they don't like it. But I did tell them, you know, might be the case. But there will be moments like this. You have to ask yourself, what is the right thing to do? And what I realized at the critical moment, what decide what's the right thing to do is our value. It's our value, because we want to make sure that we keep many staff employed. That is the reason. Because I was one of the restaurant workers long time ago, and I know among the restaurant workers, there are at least 3 types. One is they want to do something for the community. They are the volunteer who serve the hospital, even facing the Olympics. They are heroic, they're amazing. The second type of people, they can go home and stay at home. Usually, they have mom and dad to take care of them, good for them. I mean, for the first week, we decided to stay open. 50,000 of my employees, more than 10%, they decide to stay home. We respect them. But there's also the third group, and the biggest group, they really need a job. And they are the group, they don't have a voice. We all have sons, but not everyone has a voice. We have to work very hard to have a voice. And the leaders need to be the voice of the vulnerable people. So for them, we keep open, and if they come to work, we pay them well. It was Chinese New Year at that time, 3x pay, not a problem, we pay them because they need the job. So for that, we make the tough decision, but whatever the outcome, you know, we accept it. I mean, that's part of the thing of being a leader, that you're willing. And what we say, but cut off the head, and you hang your head next to your waist, and you walk around. It's okay.
Okay, so actually I'm very inspired, by one of the slides that you show, the within, China, differences. So actually Yum China, as you just mentioned, maybe deployed, maybe some different strategies. So Sada actually is also focused on, the sustainability, and also how to deal with, the within, China, within country differences in China. So maybe Sada.
Thank you, Joey. most profound the way that you always use very, very easy word to describe the otherwise very grand gesture. I mean, the fact that you did not lay off anyone during the pandemic and the fact that you look after your staffs brings to the question, do you see, or how do you see the role of Yum China being the leading restaurant chain in an aging society, one would say a longevity society of China?
There's a lot of business. White space everywhere. Because we are only in 1,800 cities in China, right? But China, how many cities China has? About 2,700. So we still have 800, 900 cities in China, does not even have one KFC. And Pizza Hut, we are only in 700 cities in China. There's still 2,000 cities in China that we don't have any Pizza Hut. It's still growing. Because the truth is, it's such a big market. Whatever you decide to do, which I'm convinced in China, if you do it well, if you become the best player there, you will have your market. The market is so big. It still provides the ample opportunity. And we are opening stores, 60% of our store in the lower tier city, tier 3, 4, 5, 6. But 40% of our store are still in Beishan, Guangzhou, Tianjin, Hangzhou. Still in the top tier city because the market is still growing and you can sort of fill in between the two big stores, fill in a smaller store and increase the density. And guess what? When you increase the density, improve the market share, the game is slightly different. You have more influence towards the customer. The customer more receptive towards whatever you are selling. It's very, very interesting that way. So I think the market is still there, and then the longevity, we have products for the elderly people. Tudongni is amazing. Huh? Tudongni is the mashed potato. That's a favorite product for younger people and then younger and older customer. And you know, and then the membership come into play because our membership is not only just some number. So some company, particularly technology company, the membership are some numbers. Our membership is store-based, all store-based. So our store manager know these people, we know who they are, 有名有姓嘅，有賣咩即係成日入嚟啊嘛。So when you know this customer, you can serve them well. Then the community, because we are always part of the community, then you really can serve the customer well. So you know, I'm not too worried about that. I think people will live longer and longer. Think about now than compared to like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, right? How much longer we live right now. So there are always a lot of opportunity there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Joey, so because time is running out, so can I take the privilege to ask the last question?
Sure.
So because I have so many my own students here, so because they will be graduating this year, so I'm sure that they really want to get to know more, because they're looking for jobs. So what are the opportunities, and also what would be your advice for them? Thank you.
It's a tough year to look for a job. The unemployment rate for young people in China this year is quite high. It's tough, but there are always some tough times. So keep trying your best. Keep trying your best. I think whatever job opportunity you can find, whether high pay, low pay, take that as an experience. Think about this. Fortune 500 CEO, and I used to be server. Or they give ban daily. What is ban daily in the restaurant industry in Hong Kong? 傳菜嘛，即係the young boy, young girl bring the food from the kitchen to the table. That's called ban daily. I was ban daily before. Why? How? You can be too, by the way. I'm like, get a job. I mean, it's tough, but get your experience. Whether high pay, low pay is okay, but it's a tough year. But you're not the only one. Keep trying. I don't have a magic solution. I just say, a lot of empathy for young people this year, last year, the coming year. But good time to be entrepreneur, to be your own boss. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. And it's time for the Q&A section. So, yes. Okay, so how about this? So maybe I will take 2 to 3 questions at a time. So then Okay, so for those who raise your question, would like to ask questions, so maybe please tell us maybe your name and also whether or not you are our current students. Because Joey ends, your lecture with Hong Kong Girls Rocks. So can I take, female students or maybe any one of you?
There's
Yeah,
hand
okay,
right there.
please.
Hong Kong boy need to speed up. They are Hong Kong
Yeah.
boy.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a boy. I'm Peter Cheung. I'm a retired faculty member here. Joey.
Professor.
Yes, congratulations on your many success. And I think you have given a very enlightening sharing with not only students, but also professors. So I want to take your insights on this question that has kind of bewildered many experts. How to understand the changing Chinese model of development and governance. So is China a party-state capitalism? Is China a market economy? What kind of economy is China? How does it run? I think based on your many experience, you can share this question and answer it so that we can be enlightened. Thank you.
Professor asked very difficult question. I was his student before. Oh. 手下留情，手下留情。It's a really tough question. I mean, it's a brilliant question. I really don't have a brilliant answer for you. I'm sorry. And maybe after that's why I can learn from yourself. It's truly one of a kind, isn't it? It's truly one of a kind. The residual power. I try, Professor. I try, but the key learning for me when I try to learn what I can learn from the government versus about managing my company is the essence of residual power. When I joined my company, one question I asked is, where's the residual power? And funny enough, at that time, the residual power was at the headquarters. So Nanjing market, Hangzhou market, when they want to do something, they need to have the approval from the headquarters. It's good, but also it's quite slow in terms of innovation. Whereas, I know right now the relationship between U.S. and China is not brilliant, but the U.S. government, I believe the residual power is in the state government because it's in the Constitution. So the federal government, the central government will say, this is what I do, like FBI will be responsible for sex crime and kidnapping, and then the residual power is in the state government. And without commenting on what is right, what's wrong, for me, what I can learn, what I have learned is try to empower different part of my company, different leader of my company to give them the residual power. How to do it is by specifying what do I do? What do the middle management do? Then whatever is not said, that's residual power to the next level, and they will fill in the gap. I think without commenting on the right or wrong of different business model or government model, I think we can still do a lot to empower different part of the organization and different provinces to do something that they can utilize their creativity and to make things amazing. And what are the things need to be done in a center need to be 法治, the legal framework, all these things, it has to be in the middle. But for the many other things, empower different people to do it, which I think is the right thing to do for the government or for my own company. And that's what I'm still learning how to do it. Thank you, Professor Chen, your question.
Thank you. So we can take maybe 1 to 2 questions over there. Oh, this, okay. Yeah. Please.
It seems I got a mic, sorry that. Hello, Joey, my name's Arthur. I'm the class of 2015. I work in a bank. So I got 3 questions for you, but I will be very, very quick. The first one is a more general one. same as you, I love Hong Kong and I love HKU. But after the years of social unrest, pandemic, and even like the recent political reforms, like how do you see Hong Kong? So I'm asking not about like whether next year will get a better paid job or the year after can I promote to be someone important in this big company, international company. I want to see like, this is my family. I want to like know your view. And the second and third one is a more personal one. What's the first thing you do every day when you wake up?
What's the first what?
What's the first thing you would do every day when you wake up? Or what's the one important thing that you must do every day? And the third question is that I believe you have the external beauty and the internal beauty, you also got it. And why you dress all black today? Almost nearly all black. Yeah.
What's the third? Why is what? Sorry, I could not. Because your mask.
So I'm saying you're beautiful, and why you almost like dress full black today?
Oh.
Thank you.
I dress black today because it make me look slim lah. Very practical consideration. What do I do every day? Now come to the previous question. Eating good food. Very, very important. And I have a philosophical interpretation for that. 民以食為天, right? Good food is heaven. And when you eat good food, you're human. 天人合一嘅境界. Food and human, you're together. Food and heaven. Oh, very, very high. 好高境界嘅. To be honest, I love good food. And I think even when I have like a day that is not so good, when I have good food, then I'm happy. I think one little trick about life, happy life, is keep the expectation very low. That's a good way. And my best friend, my neighbor, always feed me good food there. What's the first question?
What do you think about Hong Kong?
Oh, see, when I talk about food, I forgot the important question. I think my view of Hong Kong is what is the future of Hong Kong is decided by people like us sitting here. We're going to decide because Hong Kong is just a city without people like you guys, without the 師兄師姐師弟師妹. All the people who love the city and want to make it good and make it an amazing place. And we have people who grew up in Hong Kong, who were born in Hong Kong, and we have some new Hong Kong people, like the dean, like a lot of professors. These are the new Hong Kong people. We should be inclusive, and we get the best people from China, too. And we need to be open. We work hard. There's no replacement of hard work. And we have clear direction. And I think Professor Ma have an article yesterday I read, Gamyong, right? Finance. From a fishing village to a global finance center. We did it. You guys did it. Many of the 師兄師姐, you guys did it. We can continue that. And I also believe in medical profession. I think medical profession in Hong Kong is absolutely amazing. Not only the doctors are good, but the entire profession, the carer, the nurses, it takes decades to build. That professionalism, the respect to the patients, the empathy to the patient is amazing. We can do so much to make this a medical center for China. And I know Airport Authority has a big plan on it, and I'm truly, supportive. And I think biotech, these are something that can really utilize the talent in Hong Kong and in China and make it amazing. It's still an amazing city, by the way. There are many things I would like to do, but there's one thing that I don't do, 妄自菲薄. Recognize what we can do, what we shall do, be confident about it, and don't apologize for it.
Okay, thank you very much, Joey.
There's a last question from the balcony.
Yeah. Okay, because we're running out of time.
There's a last question from the balcony.
Thank you so much for the sharing today. I am a Bachelor of Social Sciences graduate from last year, and I want to ask, what do you think is the relationship between what you learned in college and what you're doing in your career? And since I'm from mainland China, I was wondering if we will have 疯狂星期四 in Hong Kong as well. Thank you so much.
So could you please repeat because there's echo here.
The echo is quite strong from here. So if I could kindly ask you to slow down a little bit.
Sorry, I was too nervous. I was wondering, the first question.
If you could take off the mask, might be able to hear.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So my first question was, what do you think is the relationship between what you learned at college versus what you are doing in your career? Because I saw that you were graduated from Hong Kong U as a BSS student, and now you're doing things as a CEO. I wonder if you find any connection between the two. Thank you.
I think what I most treasure about what I've learned from school or even later on in my consulting career is a methodology to study. That's more important than the content itself. It's a methodology that I learn if there's a problem, if there's a question, then just sit, reflect upon what you know already, come up with a hypothesis. Come up with, this might be the solution. Based on whatever you learn from yourself in the past or from your friends, this might be solution. Then, step 2, go to find out from whatever you can find out to verify whether you're right or wrong. Then the conclusion. Always 3 steps, simple 3 steps. Even for myself right now, when I'm faced with a problem, whatever the problem is, I would have a point of view, but I always listen to my team and ask for their opinion. And this needs to be done in a very disciplined way. My colleague or my colleague who did analysis, financial analysis, or my coach, because we must find every way we could, with whatever resources we could, to prove we might be wrong. All right. And to me, that is a very systematic process I learned from college, and that's useful in whatever situation. But the listening, the research is so important because there are many, many leaders who make mistakes or make some silly decision because they never allow other people to tell them so. So have your point of view, but listen. The listening is more important than your own thinking in a way, and allow people to prove you're wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. But at the end, you make the decision. Right or wrong, stick to it and deal with it.
Okay, thank you very much, Joey. Okay, I'm sure HKU President and Vice Chancellor, and also Senior Management, and also Professor Edward Chen, and also Edward Chen Distinguished Lecture Committee members, and also professors and other HKU stakeholders are looking forward to have more Hong Kong U graduates to become the CEO of Global Fortune 500 and top 100 Chinese firm. So let's just give Joey a big round of applause.
Thank you all for the interesting discussion, and please remain seated on stage. To conclude the lecture tonight, may we now invite Professor Edward Chen to come to the stage to say a few words. Professor Chen, please.
Joey, very proud of you. Distinguished audience, this must be the most difficult moment for me for the past 17 years. You make my job extremely difficult. Your speech must be the most entertaining, most, also most insightful is extremely difficult to summarize in 1 or 2 minutes, but let me try. You started with some philosophical and ethical ideas. I remember very clearly. You said dignity is important. Failure is okay. Being modest or humble is a necessary condition for success. And being passionate is a sufficient condition for success, using economics jargon. Then you go on to your core speech of your experience as a CEO, how to turn around businesses, how to survive the pandemic and the crisis. The key takeaway from me is make a difference. Think out of the box. You will never be successful if you don't make a difference. Make a difference, the messages I get from you are how you manage the 3 Ps: people, product and sales, and productivity. The first P, people. You put so much emphasis on people. And people will talk about human resources, of course, important in business. But what you impress me is your keyword of sense of security. You give your people the sense of security. First of all is your employees, then your clients, then your business partners, then your shareholder will be very happy. I think this sense of security dealing with people is really, impressive. You manage product and sales, you really make a difference. You talk about 500 more products a year. It's making a difference. You make a difference telling me during pizza, I don't like pizza. I don't like neither pizza nor durian. But you said it's so successful. You can so creative and make a difference. So I think in product-wise, you make a difference. In terms of the shops, you make a difference. You know times are difficult. You have the normal shops, or you have the small shops, you have the lower tier shops, you have the to-go windows, etc., etc. Very innovative. You know diversification, resilience are important for survival. So it's making a difference in terms of your product and sales channels. And what I impressed by you was also how you manage productivity. As an economist, I was impressed by how during the difficult times you told us, you manage to open new shops with lower capex per shop, which is very difficult. This is productivity, meaning you increase the productivity of capital. Capital productivity, is increasing in your case. How could you open even more shops during bad time? That's making a difference. You dare to do it, making a difference. And then you look at the number of people you hire is about 400,000. But you keep on hiring 400,000 while expanding. This is productivity management. And actually, you had, I assume, less than 400,000 because many of them must be on sick leave, during pandemic. So the labor productivity is high, capital productivity is high, is how you make a difference. But lastly, I was impressed by your opening title. You say, good time builds confidence. A bad time builds character. I just want to add one more. The future is very uncertain. Everybody's talking about the uncertain era in the coming 5 to 10 years. What would you have if you have uncertainty time? Uncertainty time builds what? To me, uncertainty time builds hope. Not hope for the best, but hope for doing the best. So Joey, thank you very much, and all the best to you. Thank you very much. Very nice.
Thank you, Professor Chen. Please remain on stage for a souvenir presentation and some group photos. May we invite Ms. Watt to receive this the souvenir and take a photo with Professor Edward Chen first. Ms. Watt, please. Thank you, Ms. Watt. Please be seated. Let's invite the three discussants to receive the souvenirs. Mr. Ben So, Ms. Isabella Wan, and Mrs. Sada Lam, please. Thank you, Professor Chen. May we now also invite the Executive Committee and Professor Hong Bin Chai to come onto the stage for another group photo, please. This is the end of tonight's lecture. Thank you once again for joining us. Have a great evening and see you all next year.